Hello and welcome to History of the Day series of Triumph IAS.
Let's start from the birth anniversaries of famous people. Dwijendranath Tagore. Birth anniversary. Dwijendranath Tagore was a philosopher and a prolific writer, a translator, a poet, a mathematician, and music composer. He initiated shorthand and musical notations in Bengali. Dwijendranath was the eldest son of Devendranath Tagore and Sarada Devi. He was mainly educated at home. When he was 20, he translated Kalidasa's Meghdut into Bengali in 1860. In 1875, he published the poetry volume Swapnaprayan. Dwijendranath studied ancient Indian philosophy and sociology and was deeply influenced by the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. His philosophical work comprises Tattvavidya, Knowledge of Principles, 3 Vol, 1866 to 1868, Advaita Meta Samalochna, Criticism of Advaita Philosophy, 1896, and Arya Dharma o Bodhya Dharma Ghat Protighat, on the conflicts between Aryan religion, Hinduism, and Buddhism, 1899. Dwijendranath was editor of the journals Tattvabodhini Patrika, Hitabadi, and Bharati. He was also a distinguished member of the Bangya Sahitya Parishad in 1894 and was its president from 1897 to 1900. Between 1866 and 1871, he was secretary of the Adi Brahmo Samaj and used to serve as Acharya, minister, for Upasnas, Brahmo prayers. For many years, Dwijendranath was secretary of the Hindu Mela and composed patriotic and devotional songs, Brahm Sangeet, for it. Furthermore, Dwijendranath initiated shorthand and musical notations, Swalipi, for Bengali music, was a gifted painter, did research into geometry and mathematics, and published papers, and wrote a book on these topics. After his father died in 1905, Dwijendranath moved to Santiniketan, where he continued to write and was famous for his closeness to nature and his humor. Rabindranath, Mahatma Gandhi and C.F. Andrews addressed him with Boroda, which is a reverential way of saying eldest brother. Mahatma Gandhi, in Desai 1970, compared him with the late Devendranath and said that they both led practically the life of a sannyasi. Dwijendranath died in Santiniketan on 1 January 1926. Sambhaji Shivaji Bhosle. Death anniversary. Sambhaji Maharaj was the eldest son of great Maratha warrior King Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. He was born on 14 May 1657 in the fort of Purandar in Pune, Maharashtra, and belonged to the Bhonsle clan. Right from his childhood days, Sambhaji Maharaj devoted his life to the country and Hindutva like his father. Sambhaji Maharaj took interest in politics from a very young age. He later became an inspiration for the whole country. He lost his mother Sai Bhosle when he was only 2 years old. Following which, he was brought up by Jizabai, his grandmother. The great warrior king, also known as Chhawa and Shambhuji Raje, became the second ruler of the Maratha kingdom. He rightly acclaimed this position after the death of his father, Shivaji Maharaj, and mastered the art of guerrilla warfare. After the demise of his father, Sambhaji Maharaj faced several challenges which included the Mughals in the north, neighbouring powers such as the Siddhis in Mysore and the Portuguese in Goa. Sambhaji Maharaj was a courageous king who believed in a strong set of values. He led the Maratha army in 1672 for the first time in the Battle of Kolwan. The war was between the Mughal and Maratha empires that resulted in the defeat of the Marathas. It was British origin historian Dennis Kincaid who mentioned in his work that Sambhaji Maharaj was ordered by Aurangzeb to embrace Islam. Even after being subjected to severe torture, Sambhaji maintained his stand and refused to convert. His supreme sacrifice and tactics of winning wars made him a symbol of greatness for generations to come. On 11 March 1689, Sambhaji Maharaj was killed by Aurangzeb after the brave Maratha king rejected to embrace Islam. Important event of the day of 11th March. Establishment of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The Bureau of Indian Affairs is a rarity among federal agencies. With roots reaching back to the Continental Congress and the United States Constitution, the Bureau is almost as old as the US itself. Despite its tumultuous 19th century origins, the Bureau of Indian Affairs has evolved into a 21st century agent for Indian country's success. Established by Secretary of War John C. Calhoun on 11 March 1824, to oversee and carry out the federal government's trade and treaty relations with tribes, the Bureau of Indian Affairs remains the oldest agency in continuous existence within the Interior Department and among the oldest in the federal government. Known for decades as the Indian Office, the Indian Bureau, the Indian Department, and the Indian Service, the department formally adopted Bureau of Indian Affairs (BIA) on 17 September 1947 as the agency's official name. The BIA is just one part of Interior that serves the nation's federally recognized American Indian and Alaska Native tribes, their reservations, communities, and members. Indian Affairs' responsibility to the federally recognized tribes is rooted in the Constitution and has been subsequently defined in treaties, acts of Congress, executive orders and actions, federal court decisions, and federal policies and regulations. Overseeing the BI, along with the Bureau of Indian Education, BI, and programs within their office, is the Assistant Secretary, Indian Affairs. Today, Indian Affairs employees work with tribal governments every day to enhance the quality of life in tribal communities. This includes education, schools and social services, including child welfare, transportation and water infrastructure, environmental and wildlife protection, agriculture and rangeland management, employment and job training, disaster assistance, public safety and justice, economic and business development, tribal governance, natural and energy resources management, and trust lands and assets management.